the students of Dow with all the relevant information and opportunities that they need to excel in pursuing medicine in Pakistan, in the US, and in basically around the world. So our speakers today are Dr. Sayed Saad Ali, who matched into Central Michigan University in family medicine. Dr. Muhammad Abbas, who matched into Western Michigan University in family medicine. Dr. Saba Zahir, who matched into Creighton University in family medicine. And Dr. Umar Hayat, who matched into Marian Health in family medicine. All of our speakers matched in the 2025 match cycle. All right, and I am the host, Zainab Rahmat. I am the Secretary General at Dow Medicine Society. All right, let's start with Dr. Sayed Saad Ali. Welcome to our session. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Zainab. Thank you for asking.
All right, so we will start basically with how you decided to pursue medicine in the first place. Go ahead.
Medicine in the first place. Wow, that's a question even my interviewers never asked
Oh.
during my second. I think, do you mean like medicine as in like why even get into Dow or go into
Yeah,
MBBS?
basically, how did everything start? How did your journey start?
I think it would have to be a mixture of me personally wanting a challenge in life and my dad also pushing me a bit towards it.
Mm-hmm.
From the very beginning, I knew the word USMD since I was in metric, even before I got into med school. So that has been a very big catalyst into me getting into medicine. But it wasn't any big calling or anything that most people would say. It was mostly just a mixture of me wanting personally to have a challenge and my dad pushing me towards it. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. All right. Now, if you can talk a little bit about observerships and electives in general. I know it's a big topic to discuss in a few minutes, but quite a few people from Dow are pursuing electives, and there's some confusion on when we do observerships, when we do electives. So could you enlighten us a little bit about that?
Okay, I guess we'll start from the basics. The basics are that if you are a medical student, you can only do an elective. You cannot do an observership. You cannot do an externship. If you are a graduate, you can go for an observership or an externship. There's a third thing as well. It's called a sub-internship, but I'm not going to get into that because that's mostly for American medical graduates. The things that concern us the most as medical graduates is observerships and externships. The difference between observership is there is no hands-on. As the term says, you only observe, you shadow a doctor, so to speak, right? An externship is hands-on. You get to take patients' histories, you get to do examinations, and a lot more stuff as well. I personally had two observerships and two externships. I had four total rotations, and depending on who you ask, the definition of US clinical experience will differ as well. Depending on which program you apply to, the definition of that will differ as well. Some programs don't even consider observerships and externships as US clinical experiences. That's something that you will realize when you're getting into the MASH cycle and actually going through the program's websites. But for the purposes of medical graduates, if you are a graduate, they're the only thing you can get, right? So it's okay if you are getting observations and externships. You can't do electives. Electives generally are more expensive. It's very hard to find free electives. Having an elective is obviously better than observership or externship, but can you match without one? Yes, I think almost all of the people in this panel have observership and externships only. I think Umar has electives as well. But most people from Dow or even IMGs right now match with observations and externships only, not electives. So if you don't get to do an elective, don't worry about it. Generally, when it comes to finding, I will talk about finding electives very briefly. There is a portal in Dow already, fortunately for Dowites, called VSLO that you can use to find electives, but you don't necessarily have to use VSLO. You can also find them independently through university websites. During my own match cycle, I discovered that there are programs that offer electives, but they cost a lot, and you can apply independently. So you can look up those on your own. I can talk at length about observerships and externships though. And one of the major things I've noticed or realized that this is a point where most IMGs are exploited a lot. I personally spent only 150 USD on all of my rotations combined and getting them, and the 150 that I did spend was at Mount Sinai, Chicago, and those are administrative charges that everyone has to give. no matter if you're a volunteer or whatever you are, right? For the absolute bare minimum that I had to spend, the all the rest I got for free. And when it comes to Dow, we don't realize that how we always hear that Dow has a very big alumni in USA and all that stuff, and it's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't understand that even after until I had gone through my interviews. I'll come to that later as well. But the fact is that you have your batchmates, your juniors, even your seniors who are going on electives on rotations every year.
Mm-hmm.
Your first part of the process of finding a website should reach out to those people. It's
Okay.
not to go on Apna YPC and post. It's not to go on LinkedIn. It's not to go on the DMC alumni page and post about it. No. First, just reach out to your own college mates. सही है.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, you will get. अगर 100 लोगों ने लास्ट इलेक्टिव्स की नोटेशन की आपको एटलीस्ट 10 तो हेल्प करेंगे वो आपको डिटेल्स देंगे
Makes
ठीक है
sense.
सही है and even if none of those leads pan out you at least have a starting point now okay you get a lot of emails you get a lot of contacts so you start looking in the surrounding hospital right for example like कोई consultant था जैसे मैंने बोल दिया यार माउंट साइना में रोटेशन की है मैंने
Mm-hmm.
that is your cue to go to the Mount Sinai website now and look at the consultants and see how you can help yourselves out सही है so most of us don't really realize that we end up going to these paid opportunities these paid rotations websites which is just honestly a waste of time and money. You can get those for free. You can avoid exploitation.
Mm-hmm.
Number one thing, go to your own seniors, batchmates, college mates, and all those. Number second, go to social media. I've talked about this on the Madangle USMD Instagram as well at length in other stories. Okay, the second thing you could do is honestly just go to social media and write on LinkedIn clinical rotation, right? USC. You will see people posting about their rotations. Connect with those people, reach out to them, ask them how they got it. Okay,
Right.
there are many opportunities that I did not avail because I just did not have the time anymore, nor the money to stay in the US. But I had a lot more planned out if I wanted to, because I had just been reaching out to people on Twitter, on LinkedIn while I was in the US,
Mm-hmm.
right? And those people gave me the contacts. Okay, reach out to this person. They're giving a free rotation.
Mm-hmm.
So get it there. That's one thing I'd clarify. The other thing is that I feel like there's a lot of how do I put this? There's a lot of emphasis on having inpatient rotations. I personally don't believe you should have all inpatient rotations. Like I mentioned, I only had one inpatient, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having one inpatient is good, but not having a diversity is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 4 rotations I did have, one was inpatient, two were outpatient,
Mm-hmm.
and the last one was something else entirely. It was a nursing facility. I was with a doctor who visited a different nursing facility every day. That is a unique experience. You don't see that anywhere. And it was talked about in all of my interviews as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because how did you even do that? Like, what was that like?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it was even more relevant for family medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Because, so if you look at it, I was doing outpatient, inpatient, and nursing facility. So I was covering the entire spectrum of the US medical system.
Mm-hmm.
So I focus on diversity in my CV. I do not focus on inpatient only. I feel like that's not the only way. I wouldn't say it's a wrong way. If, for example, if someone who's very internal medicine focused, then okay, yeah, fine, have more inpatient. But not having any outpatient is also bad. You are going to do clinics in internal medicine residency as well, in any residency for that matter. You
Mm-hmm.
need to have an outpatient rotation as well. So don't look down on outpatient rotations, right? So just to summarize, number one, reach out to your own college mates to find rotations. Number two, go to social media. Okay, reach out to people who are posted about the rotations.
Mm-hmm.
And number three, every kind of rotation is extremely helpful. It depends on what you do with it. Okay? You can network, you can make connections. When I landed in the US, when I landed in Chicago, I had only one rotation. And even that rotation got cancelled on the day that I landed. I got an email from the program saying that they're not taking observers anymore. So I found another one. I posted on the Apna YPC group. I found another one very quickly. The Apna YPC group is a very good gold mine, I would say, of support systems. People reach out, and a lot of people reach out to me because of my work at Medangle, thankfully. They knew me because of that. They were like, we know what you've been doing and we'd like to help you out. I know at least 100 people reach out to me on either WhatsApp or Messenger or whatever. And so that I got one rotation. So that rotation, I got another rotation. So that one, I got another one. So that I got another one.
Mm-hmm.
And if I wanted, I could have kept the chain going. So even if you don't have anything planned when you're going to the US, just by getting there, you'll be able to do a lot more. यहाँ बैठे बैठे डर लगता है, इट्स वेरी कॉमन, मतलब ऑब्वियस सी बात है, you'll be anxious, यार I don't have even 2 rotations for example, but even if you have one,
Mhm.
using that one you can get 5 more. That is my guarantee if you network properly. Networking is extremely important while you are in the US. That would be my 2 bits on covering rotations.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. We'll move on to the next topic. All right. So the visa process, again, a very lengthy topic, but we want to know your personal experience and your personal hurdles and how you overcame them.
So just to be clear, we're talking about the B1, B2 visa, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for those of you who are not on the Apna IPC group, I would recommend get on that. I have a very detailed post on there from when I had my visa acceptance last year on January 22. I will never forget that day. It felt like a burden off my shoulder. Honestly, because I had a visa rejection on March 15th, 2022. I will also never forget that date. So I've got a rejection and I've gotten acceptance as well. I can tell you both sides.
Okay.
The rejection was very simple. Dow gives an elective out on in fourth, it used to at least, called Titus Regional Medical Center, and I was accepted for that back in when I was in fourth year. On that letter, it was the word observership was written, not electives.
Mhm.
And in the end, I would say it's my fault. I should have seen that, should have corrected that, made Dow correct that before I went to my visa interview.
Mhm.
And so where I did go, it got rejected in 2022, right? So in 2024, in the middle of my house job, I went for a visa interview again, and this time I was like, ये तो पक्का reject हो रहा है, मतलब उम्मीद ही नहीं थी ना, zero, बिल्कुल. There were a lot of red flags in the application
Mhm.
that back on. I'm surprised. I don't know how it got accepted, frankly speaking.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um. So, but they were like very, very big red flags. They were like minor things that could have easily had my visa rejected. So I don't want to take up too much time. Lekin yaar, in this visa process, if anyone is telling you anything for certain, they are lying to you. Let me be very clear about
Okay.
this. There is no certainty in this entire process at all.
Mhm.
There were at least 5 reasons why my visa should have been rejected on January 22, but it was not rejected. I still don't know how.
If you're
I still
comfortable sharing those red flags, as you say, could you share that with the
definitely,
audience?
yeah, I will. Red flag number one was that on the DS-160 application form, it is written very, very clearly that your passport should be expiring at least 6 months
Mhm.
after your intended date of travel.
Yeah.
My date of travel was June 1st. My passport was expiring in October. That's 5 months.
Okay.
A week before my interview. So I went in thinking I'm gonna get rejected. Red flag number two. I used a rotation letter from a rotation that people on Reddit kept on saying this is blacklisted, blacklisted, blacklisted. It was the
Oh.
only rotation letter I had. I was like, you know what? Reject होना ही है, करके फारिग करता है. So I just went again. I went in with zero confidence, with zero thoughts that I'm gonna get accepted. And when the visa officer was like, your visa has been approved, I was like, "Huh, kya?" Literally, right? So these were two very big red flags. There were a few minor ones as well.
Mhm.
Uh, The other one that things that couldn't gone bad. I applied in the middle of house job. You probably heard of people who apply in the middle of house job and they get rejected because they haven't completed house job. So that was another reason I was thinking, okay, I might get rejected. I have all my documentation though.
Mhm.
My offer letter for house job and stuff, and proof okay, house job is ending on May, then I'll leave in June, and all
Mhm.
that stuff.
Mhm.
But even then, people have been getting rejected even this year. I just heard of a girl getting rejected last week, right? Because I am in contact with people who do apply for visa.
Mhm.
So there are many ways it could have gone wrong, but it didn't. And the fact is, no one can say why.
Okay.
There is no this process at all. So anyone who says anything with certainty, unless they are in the US embassy themselves, they are lying to you. There is
Okay.
no certainty. Do not believe in certainty. There are things you can do, yes, to improve your chances,
Mhm.
right? You can have all your documentation very, very proper. You can plan things such a way that your timeline matches with everything. So it proves to them that you have strong home country ties. You will have to come back, right? For me, the home country tie ended up being that I am one of 8 siblings, and apparently my dad convinced my VO that that's a strong home country tie, because she asked 2 questions about that. So yeah, so you have to ensure you check all those boxes, but
Mhm.
even then it might get rejected. Keep that in mind and don't let it get to you. For me personally, I never realized how big of a burden I had on my shoulders until my visa got accepted. The day it got accepted was one of the happiest days of my life because that is the point where I started seeing, okay, this year I can actually, get shit done. Because for those who don't know, I gave my step two back in 2022 ka December in my final year with the hope of applying for the 2024 match. But I didn't have a visa. So I thought, okay, बाहर में जाएगा, just do my house job. I did my house job, I completed my entire house job, no deficits. फिर मैं गया US. I had my visa in January. I could have gone to the US in February. मेरा बहुत दिल था बाहर में जाए 3 महीने क्यों करने मुझे और बट आई वाज लाइक यार 9 महीने कर लिए तो 3 महीने और सही करके फारिग करो. So I did my house job and then I went straight immediately 2 weeks after my house job was done. I went to the US. I did 4 months there and the day I submitted my application for the ERAS, I flied out. The day I submitted, उसी दिन की मैंने फ्लाइट रखी हुई थी मैं उसी निकल गया. I'm done. I want to stay here any longer. By the way, guys, US is very overrated. Don't expect anything good. ठीक है, it's shitty place. कितना खाली है ना. स्पेशली कराची वालों की इतनी खाली जगह है. आधा सारा यूएस खाली है. सही ये मत समझना कि बहुत पार्टी करने वाले वहाँ पे
That's
ना पैसा होगा. ठीक है. खैर, yeah, so that's a bit about my US visa experience.
okay. Thank you for that. The next topic is house job in your home country. So what are your thoughts about this? Quite a few people recommend that Dow students should do house job before applying for the match. What are your thoughts on that?
देखो, the data says it does not matter.
Doesn't
Why?
matter.
क्योंकि you don't require house job to apply to the match.
Mhm.
That's a fact. So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you have the means to go to electives before graduating, get 3 electives done, get step one, step two done, and
Mhm.
now we even have precedents to apply as a final year with Shamas,
Yeah.
right? I personally work with Shamas throughout his soap cycle
Mhm.
to have him apply before he graduates. So I am also aware of that entire process. We talked to the admin as well. So now there's literally precedents for you to apply as a final year if you want to.
Mhm.
Again, that depends on the pathways that ACFMG releases every year. But we found a loophole last year and we got him to apply, right? So if you can find a loophole, go ahead and apply. So if you have the means,
Mhm.
apply right after you graduate. That's very, very ideal, I would say. If you don't have the means, you don't have a visa, you couldn't get a visa, couldn't go for observerships, do house job. It's completely fine. I did house job. It's good experience. It's good experience at least for interviews. It's good to have it on your चलो CV पे भी एक अच्छा experience ऐड हो गया पूरे 1 साल का यार. I've worked as a doctor.
Mhm.
And it's something that, also came up a lot in my rotations. Because when I would tell my, especially do my inpatient rotation, when I told the residents I've already worked as a doctor for 1 year, so you can trust me a bit more than a medical student. They
Mhm.
did trust me. And I did do stuff that other doctors were not allowed to do because I had in-house job and they hadn't. Right? So there are pros and cons. The obvious con is like you waste 1 year in a way. I won't call it a waste though. From what I've seen and the data proves this, a YOG 0 is the same as a YOG 3. Between YOG 0 to 3, you're pretty much the same for 99% of programs. Once you cross that YOG 3 wala gap part, na, uske baad 5 to 10% programs get cut down. Once you get cross YOG 5 wala mark, uske baad a lot more programs get cut down for you,
Mhm.
right? But between YOG 0 to 3, it's pretty much the same. So do a house job if you don't have a visa. Don't do it if you have a visa. Go for electives. Do your step 3, come back and then do house job while you're giving your interviews. It's completely fine. It's not necessary to do house job. That is a fact. It's not necessary. That's a fact. Objective है. Subjective में ये कहना कि यार करना है कर लो, नहीं करना नहीं करो, तुम्हारी मर्जी है. It's a very personal decision, honestly.
Okay. Thank you for that. Next is your residency journey. So basically, we just want you to describe how you started the entire, I would say like the ERS application, what you thought was important throughout like making your CV more polished for family medicine or for internal medicine, and then applying to programs, just a little bit about each of these things, and then we'll break it down a little more. Just an overview for now.
Yeah, because if I start talking, this would take the whole day. You're asking for a lot here. Let's break it down by months, I guess, and let's break it down by components. So there are certain components for your ES application that you have to work on. Number one would be your LORs. For your LORs, you need rotations, which I've already talked about. Number two would be done with your step 2, your OAT and bed get certified. I got certified on 2023. I was already certified before I got to the US, which helped me out a lot. I didn't have to worry about step 2 royalty anymore. Third thing would be your personal statement. The fourth thing would be your step 3, which I would highly recommend that everyone give, just by the way, and try to get an above average score if possible, because that will really put you on the radar for most programs. And by the way, the average score for step 3 is 227. I had to 224, right? And a lot of people have asked me, why did you never post your step 1 or step 2 score, but you posted your step 3 score? There's a concept about visibility as well in the match cycle. You need to be more public with certain things. The reason I posted that score is so that programs can see and residents can see, okay, this guy got to 34. That's an above average score in step 3. Because step 3 is a residency level exam. And let me kid you not, देखो, step 3 might take less time to prepare, but it's definitely not an easy exam. It is by far one of the hardest exams I've ever given. Say step 2 was much easier than step 3. Step 3, I generally felt was a residency level exam. It actually was a residency level. Like it was harder, right? In my personal opinion, at least. I'm very glad. I'm very grateful I got that score that I did. I was expecting to fail, frankly speaking. Most people expect to fail step 3 when they get out of it. It's just that kind of exam. Umar and I gave it together. Even he can attest to that. He was like, "Bro, I'm gonna fail." We gave it one day apart.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So step 3, and obviously getting your ERAS application itself ready, your resume ready, right? So I'll break this down. So in June, and also sorry, your program list as well. That's also one other factor as well. So there's so many components you have to work on throughout your cycle, and you have to do your rotations, right? So it's extreme, and you're living in a foreign country. For most of us, we don't have relatives, we don't have people we can rely on, right? I don't have any relatives in the US. I've never had them. I was the first person in my khandan I got to know to ever go to the US, in fact. Okay. And it's not like my dad is made of money. My dad literally sold his dream car to finance my entire journey. He gave me a set amount of money कि इतना पैसा है, इतने में तुम्हारा टिकट भी होगा, स्टेप सी भी होगा, मैच की एप्लीकेशन भी होगी और तुम्हारा 4 महीने का रहना सहना भी होगा, देख लो कैसे करना है. Just gave me, I was like, okay, तुम्हारा मसला है. सही, so I had to manage that as well. I was fortunate enough to have amazing people at Madangle, like Dr. Mohammed Asif, who is the founder of Madangle, who took me in for 2 months, but allowed me to save money, right? But overall, no relatives in the US. Okay, I don't know anyone else there apart from, I didn't know anyone. So yeah, so that really helped. So you have to keep these factors in mind. So June, July, at least your first draft of your personal statement and your ERAS CV should be ready. The first draft, Kero. You cannot be reaching out to mentors for mentoring if they don't know what to review. Which is why I had my first draft ready in July.
Okay.
Because my preceptor at Mount Sinai, I asked him if he could mentor me and, review my application at least once. And this is also a part of, making the connection. कि बाद में उसको याद रहे कि यार ये बंदा था मेरे पीछे पड़ा था, इसकी एप्लीकेशन में देखी थी, एप्लीकेशन में अच्छी अच्छी चीजें ये थी. ठीक है, तो ये चीजें करनी पड़ती हैं. So you have your first draft ready so that you can send it to people and start building your connections. Okay, I'm a DMC graduate of this and I'm planning to match. This is the first draft of my CV. Do you have any opinions for me? Do you have any advice for me? You don't straight up ask यार मुझे interview दे दो. You go आहिस्ता आहिस्ता. You first build that connection. This is a very important step to build that connection where you can just ask कि यार मेरी CV review कर दो. लेकिन जब CV बनी हुई नहीं होगी आप फिर कैसे review करवाओगे? Right. So first draft ready in June, July. Personal statement and CV both. I'm not saying it should be good. It won't be perfect. Again, it's the first draft. You'll probably have 10 by the end of it. My personal statement had like 7 drafts by the end of it. Version 7 मेरा final था. My CV had like, I don't know, version 8 or 9 by the end of it. I reviewed and constantly, especially during September. But first draft should be ready by July. Ideally get done with step 3 by July as well. खुदा के लिए, please. Ideally get done with step 3 by July. You can do it. If you recently given step 2, it's a 2 months study process. It's easily doable. With rotations, by the way. ठीक है, find time. I don't care. Study while you're traveling. ठीक है, compromise हो सही, but get done with it. सही है, फालतू नहीं है कि तुम एक और महीना रुको यूएस में, स्लीप पे कॉम्प्रोमाइज करो. दिस इज अ फैक्ट. यू हैव टू. ओके, फॉर दोज ऑफ अस, मैं एवरेज इंसान की बात कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे, तो एन एवरेज मिडिल क्लास पर्सन की बात कर रहा हूँ. सही, फालतू का पैसा नहीं है, सैक्रिफाइस करनी पड़ेगी. अब गए हो ना तो पूरा फायदा वापस लेकर आओ, वरना मत आओ. सही है, स्टेप से निकालो जुलाई तक, कोशिश करो. मैक्सिमम अगस्त के बीच तक निकालो. रिजल्ट आने में 2 से 3 हफ्ते लगेंगे,
हम्म,
कभी कभी महीना भी लग जाता है। यू डोंट वांट टू रिस्क इट। अगर एप्लीकेशन के बाद है, एप्लीकेशन में अटैच नहीं होगा, दैट क्रिएट्स अनदर इशू, यू हैव टू ईमेल प्रोग्राम सेपरेटेशन एंटायर थिंग, get rid of
हम्म,
that. And once you're done with step 3, it's a very big burden off your shoulder. You can now completely focus on your application.
हम्म,
Focus on program selection, program signaling, which is extremely, extremely important. The reason I noticed in this match cycle the most, the reason I personally got 16 interviews while my own colleagues with much, much higher scores than me got only 5 or 3 or 4 interviews, was because I had spent a lot of time on my ERA CV and program selection, program signaling. So yeah, it is a game. Say it. To simplify it for you, it is a game, guys. You are going to play a game in the ERA's match cycle. You need to understand the game, to understand the field. You need to become the damn coach. And once you are the coach, then no one can beat you at that game, apart from the program directors. सही है, लेकिन आप उनके खिलाफ खेल रहे हो, याद रखो. You are playing against the program directors and the program selection committee. You need to get into their head. That is the game you need to identify. And once you identify that, that is how you make your CV. That's how you select your programs. That's how you select signaling. This is extremely important. So I'm going to spend like 2 minutes on this. Program selection और signaling में बहुत important ये है, be realistic, identify your own credentials. 260 नहीं है कोई मसले की बात नहीं, मेरा 260 नहीं था, ठीक है. I had a very average, ठीक है, and I don't mind sharing it now. I had 249 on my step 2. You heard of anyone of 249 getting 16 interviews? I have not. I have been very fortunate enough to do that because I understood the game.
हम्म,
ठीक है, and I played that game throughout my 4 months. Right? I had 8 interviews in family medicine and 8 in internal medicine both. And all of my internal medicine interviews came from signaling.
okay.
Out 15 signals, and I will also very confidently say here that if I had, मैंने 6 सिग्नल ना तफड़ियों में दिए थे, मुझे नहीं देने चाहिए थे. सही है, मुझे पता था कि मैं गलत दे रहा हूँ, उन्होंने दे दिया था. अगर
हम्म,
मैं वो इससे देता ना, तो ये 8 नहीं 14 या 15 इंटरव्यू होते. ये
हम्म,
सारा गेम सिग्नलिंग का है. फैमिली मेडिसिन में 8 इंटरव्यूज में से यू आर अलाउड 5 इंटरव्यूज इन फैमिली मेडिसिन बाय द वे.
हम्म,
4 सिग्नल्स आए थे और 4 ऑर्गेनिक आए थे, ठीक है. सो signaling is very important. Identify your own credentials. Reach out to the programs that you're applying to. Reach out to their residents, not to the program coordinator. Reach out to their residents, especially your Dowites. You're so much in file, तुम्हें अंदाजा भी नहीं है. Dowite हर जगह बैठा हुआ है. Reach out to a Dowite. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you can.
हम्म,
Into ask them very specific, very limited 3 questions, 4 questions max. कि यार मेरे credentials ये हैं. Do you think your program would consider me? Number 2, does your program take visa requiring IMGs? If you're a visa requiring IMG, if yes, how many people in your batch are visa requiring IMGs? So these questions are giving you an idea कि यार आपकी क्या औकात है प्रोग्राम के लिए. You need to find out this information. It's very, very important. And third, most important, कोई अंदर की बातें बताओ. जिस अंदर की बातें ना, ये बहुत वेग होती हैं, ठीक है, इन पे ना भरोसा करना पड़ता है. लेकिन ये क्या होती है कि यार ये प्रोग्राम कह रहा है कि ये सिर्फ किंग एडवर्ड को लेगा इस साल, वो भी 250 अबव लेगा. मैं सिग्नल नहीं कर रहा उसको. वाई शुड आई वेस्ट माई सिग्नल, राइट. मुझे अगर पता चल गया, मुझे पता है कि रोचेस्टर जनरल 262 से बिलो तो कंसिडर ही नहीं करता, इंटरव्यू भी नहीं देता, तो मैं सिग्नल क्यों करूंगा उसको. When this information you collect from residents, from your own seniors and Pakistanis out there, and then you decide कि अच्छा मैं इस प्रोग्राम पे अप्लाई कर रहा हूँ, मैं सिग्नल कर रहा हूँ. प्रोग्राम सिलेक्शन की बात, जब तक एप्लीकेशन की बात, आई अप्लाई टू 120 IIM programs, which was a mistake. It was a stupid mistake. Please do not repeat that. Apply to only 30 FM programs. FM वैसे प्रोग्राम कम है, IIM friendly तो और भी कम है, ठीक है. तो FM वैसे ही प्रोग्राम कम हो जाता है आपका ऑटोमेटिकली. There's not many you can apply to. IIM में it's stupid at this point now, with signaling being such a big factor, to go for that high of a number. 15 प्रोग्राम that you signal, ठीक है. 10-15 प्रोग्राम that do not accept signaling. There are programs that don't accept signaling at all. Try like there as well. 5-6 प्रोग्राम जो नए आते हैं, बिल्कुल नए क्रेडिट होते हैं हर साल, जो कि IIMGs को लेते हैं, ठीक है. और फिर वो प्रोग्राम्स जहाँ पे आपको लग रहा है कोई कनेक्शन है, कोई नेटवर्किंग हो जाएगी, कोई सीन बन जाएगा, कहीं से कोई रिश्तेदार निकल जाएगा, वो प्रोग्राम 50 भी नहीं बनते. This is the limit of the programs that you should be going for in IIM. Going anything beyond that is, I personally don't agree with anymore. It was a very stupid mistake on my part for going to 120. Our seniors said it was a stupid mistake on their part for going to 180. As you can see, the numbers are decreasing every year. Do not waste your money, save your money. I spent 3,000 on my application. I don't want you to do that. You can spend 2,000 or 1500 even. It's not that hard. FM I applied to 30 programs. That was literally $300 because first 30 programs are $10 each. Okay. So 30 programs is a very good number. Extremely good number. Imagine if you applied to only 30 programs and I am even $600, token $60, NRMP $80. We are at like $800 right now. E70 certification $1,000. Within $2,000, you did the entire match application. You can do that. Now, signaling is a very important part. So yeah, June, July, first draft of CV and process statement, get them step 3. Take care. September and August, finalize your application, finalize your programs, signaling and all that. फिर उसके बाद start worrying about interviews. उस पे मैं नहीं आ रहा अभी. But this is the gist of it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Alrighty, so you've talked a little bit about this, the ERS application, but if there's anything specifically that you want to share about the ERS application, go ahead, please.
Again, something that will take the entire day. Thankfully, the NRMP released a very, 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 very detailed document on the ERS application, how to make it last year, which I think most people did not see. Because I've seen some of the applications and it's pretty obvious that most people don't understand how to make the application. So what there are types of experiences you can have, okay? And the NRMP very clearly outlines what each type of experience entails, right? So it's a very good document. Just refer to that. Go to NRMP 24 match outline document, something like that. मुझे नाम सही से याद नहीं है. I even have it on saved on me, my computer. If I could be added to the participants group, I can share that and some other resources I have as well. मुझे मस्ता नहीं है कोई. सही है. But that document is very, very good. यार उसको पढ़ो बैठ के. Before you start your application, उसको पढ़ो. सिर्फ पढ़ो. Literally सिर्फ पढ़ो. लंबी document लेकिन पढ़ो. समझो. What is the document saying? That will tell you how to make your CV. Number 1. Number 2. This is about a mindset thing now. The mindset I had going into the match cycle was very simple. If 60% of IMGs match every year, I'm going to round that off to half. That means I need to be better by at least half of the IMGs out there. Which means I need to be at least 2 steps ahead in everything I do. Say, see what the average person around you is doing, then do 2 steps more. And this you will apply not just to your application, but to every part of this process. If someone is making their ERAS CV just once, having it reviewed once, and they're like, okay, हो गया, you get it reviewed 3 times. Example there. मैंने उससे ज़्यादा ही करवाई है और अपने आप से खुद किया. इतनी पढ़ो अपनी CV, इतनी पढ़ो अपनी PS कि जब तक खुद को अच्छी नहीं लग रही ना, इसका मतलब नहीं बनी. एक ये माइंड सेट था. 2 स्टेप्स अहेड. जब तक एक चीज खुद को अच्छी नहीं लग रही, दूसरों की अच्छी लगेगी, आगे अच्छी लगेगी. सही तो भूल जाओ. People don't have diverse experiences. Everyone has the same 4 clinical rotations, explained in the same way. They have the same voluntary experience, explained in the same way, right? So to you, you're the same person. Okay? To that PD, to that program selection committee, right? You have to make yourself different. You have to understand, especially if you're going to for internal medicine. 7,000 एप्लीकेशन आ रही है उसके पास. वो तुम्हारी खोल के भी देखे और उसने खोल के तुम्हारी देख ली, अल्लाह करे देखे, मेरी दुआ है देख ले, तुम्हें क्यों इंटरव्यू दे. Get into the head of the recruiter. Okay, understand what they want to see. Do not write paragraphs. Make it very concise. Write bullet points. Be objective, not subjective. Use data, use stats. Zainab, तुम्हारी बात कर. Zainab, you are the general secretary of DMS. Is that correct?
Yes.
You put this on your ERA CV. ठीक है. Now, if you just write, oh, I held webinars, बाहर में जाए. No one cares about that. The PD does not care about that. No. You mention specifically, oh, I hosted 5 webinars across the year 2024 for the match cycle applicants with over 1,000 attendees. You gave me objective data now कि यार मैंने ये किया, and you do this for every part or every experience.
Okay.
You do 4 rotations. आपने हर rotation में लिखा हुआ है I did soap notes, I did patient evaluation, I did outpatient clinic, I did case presentations. सबने ये लिखा हुआ है उसमें हर रोटेशन में लिखा हुआ है ये. How are you different? No, you mention or you take out a theme. Say you take out a theme of an experience. That is something that Umar did very well. Umar can talk about this as well. मैंने उमर से बहुत अच्छा सीखा था ये. उमर के कुछ आर्ट इलेक्टिव पे आर्ट ऑडिशन पे सही है, तो he had to think very hard. Yeah, how do I make them different from everyone? Right? So उससे बोलना ये पूछना उससे बिल्कुल सही है. So you think क्या थीम थी, मैंने क्या अनोखा किया, what do I want to highlight it? I'll give you my own example. In my nursing facility wali rotation, obviously I focus on nursing facilities. That's a different experience entirely. In my inpatient rotation, I focus on the inpatient elements only, nothing outpatient. In my outpatient family medicine rotation, I focus on family medicine aspects. Okay. In my cardiology rotation, I focus on cardiology aspects. That's how I made it as diverse as possible. Okay. So yeah, that's a bit about the CV. There's again so many things I can talk about it, but just to summarize, be objective, be succinct, be concise, use power words in your CV. Don't do paragraphs, do bullet points, please. और क्या था? हाँ, be as diverse as you possibly can. Don't be too clinical, don't be too voluntary. Find them,
Okay.
but you don't have everything possible. I had rotations, I had entrepreneurship, I had mentorship, I had volunteering. I had 4 major things in my CV. I was a very well-rounded applicant, and I was just complimented on by all of my interviewers. All of them. Number one, they all of them highlighted my dangle. There was not even one interviewer who did not ask me about my dangle. Half of them to open the website in front of me
Really?
and asked about it. Yes, they were extremely impressed with my dangle. That was the most, and 2 of them said to my face, "You are an unusual applicant." And at the end of the interview, I asked, "What do you mean?" They were like, "We meant it as a compliment. Most IMGs we don't see in these fairs, but you're doing it, right?" So whatever unique you have to play on it. You have to learn to sell it. That's very important. Yeah, I think I have gone over time. I apologize, Zanab. But is there any last questions? Please let me know. Otherwise, I'll hand it over to Umar Hayat.
Okay. I believe Dr. Muhammad Abbas is next. Let me
Okay.
just,
Last question.
yeah, if there's anything else, I don't think we have time for interviews. Dual applying. If you could just talk 2 minutes about dual applying and then that'll be all.
Yeah, definitely. So dual applying, most people apply dual apply. Considering one specialty as a backup, that was not my mindset going into this cycle. I looked at what opportunities I will have, and I learned a lot through my clinical experiences. That what opportunities I will have based on if I do internal medicine or family medicine. And I realized that I'm going to be happy with both. So I went into the cycle thinking about both. Now, tricky part comes with dual applying is in your program selection, because you don't want to be applying the same hospital in IM and FM. Then you have to pick, right?
Yeah.
That means you do a lot more research. You have to find out internal medicine resident key credentials ही हैं, FM की ही हैं. I'll give you one example. The hospital that Abbas matched into, I got an interview from there as well. I applied to FM in there, not in IM, because मेरे IM में credentials match नहीं होते, but FM में match होते. मैं वो signal भी उनको गया था मैं, right? So you have to do a bit more research, and when it comes to your rank order list, you have to think a lot more as well. For me, again, I was happy with IM or FM, so it wasn't like यार, for most applicants, it's like IM पहले होगा, फिर FM बाद में होगा. That's take FM as a backup. मेरे लिए था IM, FM. मैंने alternate किया हुआ था. And there were also a lot more other factors for me. For example, my wife wants to do psychiatry, right? So I was also considering कि किस hospital में psychiatry की होती है residency. I was also considering visa types. I was considering location as well. So I didn't go by specialty. I was happy with either or. I have also prepared a document that I can again send to the participants detailing the different fellowships that you can do after IMFM. Ones that are common to both, ones that are exclusive to each of them as well. Take care. If you want, I can send that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a few things you have to keep in mind while dual applying.
Okay. Thank you for that. Just give me 1 second. Can you guys see my screen or no? Hello? Okay, 1 second. We can't hear you, Dr. Abbas. Can you unmute yourself, please? Oh, okay. Let me see what's wrong.
So I guess Omar wants to speak ahead.
Okay, Dr. Hayat wants to go first?
Yep.
Okay, okay. Let me just share.
Unmute him.
Okay, 1 second.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you guys hear me?
Walaikum assalam. Yes, we can hear you. Let me
All
just
right, perfect.
let me just screen share and then we'll start. Just 1 second.
Also,
Okay.
thank you so much, Abbas and Sabah, for letting me go ahead. There's a lot of noise in my office right now. That's why I just wanted to quickly wrap it up and then, give you guys some proper face time on this webinar. So thank you so much once again for allowing me to speak first. Thanks a lot.
Alrighty. Dr. Hayat, welcome to our session. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much.
Alrighty. So the first question for you is how you decided to pursue medicine in the first place. What factors drove you towards medicine and how did you go ahead and pursue medicine in the US as well?
So I'll be quick because Saad has beautifully explained a lot of elements in this webinar already. So real quick, I was just very bad at maths and I couldn't score much. So I resorted to staying in biology in my second year of A levels, and biology was something I could do effortlessly. So that's just how my path to medicine started.
Okay, thank you for that. So what challenges did you face very generically in the beginning? So once you were in medical school, what challenges did you face? And then once you graduated, what challenges did you have?
So when I started medical school, I was part of Dow International, and we all know that Dow International has a very, very extremely weak alumni base. We barely have any networking opportunities. The seniors that were there in my school that had already matched, they were non-visa requiring, okay? And also before 2019, there was no official directory or anything that kept a record of all those matched individuals. It was more or less something like, it was very casual, right? So, starting medical school, I was pretty astounded, first of all, because I could not fit in that campus very well. But alhamdulillah, things worked out. I gave my step one in my third year. I did my first clinical elective rotation fourth year. I did a few more in final year, step two in final year, and then step three after graduation. I graduated with the class of 2024 and did a few more rotation in my graduate year. So alhamdulillah, things worked out. The biggest challenge throughout was the fact that I was full-timing medical school while maintaining my performance at Marangal, making sure we have the right resources and the capacity to make education accessible to students. So that was that was a very challenging part, but alhamdulillah, things worked out, and I feel like yeah, I feel like that is something that I very strongly felt throughout medical school.
Okay, thank you for that. Just 1 second. Alrighty, so can you describe a little bit about your journey towards obtaining observerships and electives to the audience?
So I was a visa requiring candidate, ठीक है? I did not have any family in the US, unfortunately. So my journey began in fourth year when I had done my step one and third year. I started to look into the first opportunity through VSLO. VSLO का access DAO में बहुत आसानी से मिल जाता है. You can contact your student coordination cell or whoever works in that department. They can easily get you an access to VSLO. You create your account, you sign up, and you get to see different elective rotations. However, unfortunately, I could not score an elective rotation through VSLO because there are a lot of documentation that the portal requires you to do, and DAO does not end up doing it in the required time frame. So that was something I did not know beforehand, but I tried a lot. I applied to different places like Mayo, Pittsburgh, University of New Mexico, University of Vanderbilt, stuff like that, okay, but I couldn't really get a rotation. Then fast forward, I got in touch with a physician in Texas. He was a cardiologist. He had his own outpatient clinic, and he was ready to host me for my first elective rotation. So उस ज़माने में a lot of people told me कि कोई फायदा नहीं है because you're gonna apply to internal medicine, cardiology में क्यों कर रहे हो? Outpatient does not count. There is no such experience there. इतना कोई ज़्यादा फायदा नहीं होगा. But my fundamental has always been कि say yes to every opportunity. You never know where it takes you, ठीक है ना? So I said yes and I signed up for that opportunity. I did that rotation in July 2022 when I was in fourth year. It turned out great because that rotation basically pushed me into the system. Even though it was cardiology, even though a lot of cases that we used to discuss in that outpatient were flying off my head, but it was a very nice introduction to the US healthcare. It was a very good lay down of how the healthcare system is laid out, what are the fragmentations, what are the issues. It gave me a lot of things to essentially talk about next time when I ask for rotation. So that's how my journey started. And then in my final year, I connected with two more physicians who were ready to host me. One of them did charge me, and I think I do feel like I should not have done a rotation that was paid. However, back in those days, I was still experiencing. It was a brand new journey for me. I did not know पेड अनपेड में क्या फर्क होता है, और अगर पेड करते भी हैं तो उसकी फीस कितनी डिसेंट है, कितनी रीजनेबल होनी चाहिए. आई डिड नॉट हैव एन एनी आइडिया. So I ended up doing it. Once again, it was good, but not great. But I still got a lot of experience when it comes to inpatient. I got a lot of ER experience. I did another outpatient rotation in my final year. That was internal medicine, primary care. And then I did my first ever family medicine rotation as well in my final year, which kind of unlocked me the doors to family medicine. I think that rotation kind of took it home because that led me to decide that family medicine will be my priority. ठीक है, and that is that was the deciding factor. फिर उसके बाद after graduation, I did a few more rotations जिसमें से I did a dedicated geriatric rotation that was basically with Saad. We used to go to different nursing homes. We used to basically look after patients that are 65 and plus. Majority of those patients were Medicare patients, so we got to understand a lot about ICD codes and how the Medicare insurance plans are built. What are the different kinds of Medicare insurance plans? ठीक we used to study these things in step two, but this was a more real time experience. And then after that, I did another inpatient rotation in Tampa General for pulmonary and critical care because I was very at one time I was very interested in pulmonology, so I was like, let's try our luck. And then I did another family medicine rotation. So altogether, I had around 8 clinical rotations in the US. जिसमें से I had 3 elective rotations, 2 externships, and 2 observerships.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. So, all right. So our next topic is the visa process. So Dr. Ali very eloquently talked about the visa process, but we want to know about your journey and your process towards obtaining a US visa. So please go ahead.
Alhamdulillah, it was very simple back in 2022. I did not know much about the visa process. One of my friends actually motivated me to actually go ahead and file that application. I filed my visa application. Then उस ज़माने में emergency appointments भी बहुत आसानी से मिल जाती थी, इतनी कोई scrutiny नहीं होती थी. So I ended up writing a 150 words paragraph कि यार मुझे emergency appointment दे दो. and I was supposed to fly on second. I was supposed to fly on 1st July, and I got my visa just 2 weeks before, or made original appointment that was 6 months in advance. With the emergency appointment, I got expedited to the next 2 weeks. Alhamdulillah, interview went super smooth. No unusual questions. They just wanted to hear the obvious things. कहाँ जा रहे हो, किधर जा रहे हो, what's the institute, who is sponsoring your trip and everything. And Alhamdulillah, I got the visa approved. So visa wise, Alhamdulillah, I'm grateful. I'm very thankful that, I didn't struggle much. But obviously that was like the first step. That was like a knock on the door, right? What made me set my foot in. So उस हिसाब से it was good, but yeah, that was essentially my visa experience.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so doing a house job in your home country, what are your thoughts on that?
I unfortunately couldn't do my house job. I graduated. My last final year exam was on 11th March 2024. I got my result on 16th March 2024, and after around 2 weeks, I got my degree. I got ECFMG certified by the end of by the mid of April, and by end of April, I flew for my observerships and everything. So house job मैंने की नहीं. And once I was back from my rotations, I joined a corporate job, ठीक है, because I was always very interested in learning new things. क्योंकि मुझे पता था कि क्लिनिकल में घुसना है तो रेजिडेंसी एक चीज है that's already in the pipeline. I wanted to experience the more business side. I wanted to experience more how the corporate world works, ठीक है. And being in the startup industry for 5 years, being actively networking in the startup industry for 5 years, I was just very enthusiastic about doing a corporate job. So I joined a corporate job, and alhamdulillah, it was a very great experience. But unfortunately, I couldn't do house job. So I think you may call it a win, you may call it a sacrifice, but that's just something I chose.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so your residency journey. So were you always interested in pursuing medicine in the United States?
No, I was a plab aspirant, but by the end of my second year, I was and I share this with a lot of people, and most people don't believe me. Back in 2019, when I ended my first year, it was a very boring year. I was honestly doing medicine because once again, I was kind of pushed into it. I was always an engineering student, since the start. So medicine turned out to be extremely, you can say, not so creative for me. So by the end of second year, I decided to do something different. A lot of people told me that you can't attempt lab because that is something that you can only do once you graduate and once you have your degree on you. And that felt very demotivating for me because instead of putting the ball in my hands, I was being the one that told KR, you can't do anything for the next 5 years of your undergrad. And that was just not the right approach for me. So I opted for the USMLE pathway. It was the next best option for me, and it was like a challenge for me in my third year to experience something different because Dow was getting extremely monotonous for me. So that's just how the journey started. And after giving my step one, that's when things became more serious. That's when I dehazed my path, and I was like, okay, now it's time to shoot for things and align my future milestones together.
Okay, thank you. All right, so do you have any tips for the ERS application for the students of Dow?
बस जल्दी से कुछ tips बताऊंगा, and then I can move on. Few things जो मैंने repeatedly देखी है cycle में. Obviously this is you might take this as with a grain of salt, सही है. This is just my own observation, ठीक है. Everybody must have observed a lot of statuses and posts that have been coming up on Apna of people that went unmatched, सही है. और आप लोग देख रहे होंगे कि इसमें बहुत बड़ा ट्रेंड ये है कि जब उन लोगों से पूछा जाता है ना कि आपकी रोटेशंस कौन सी होती हैं, तो वो बहुत बड़े बड़े नाम लिख रहे होते हैं, फला फला यूनिवर्सिटी, फला फला प्रोग्राम, फला फला ये, फला फला वो, ठीक है. एंड आई फील लाइक even though having those big names on you puts down the credential कि yeah, you are very educated, you're literate enough to know about those places and fortunate enough to be at that place for a rotation. However, not having any outpatient rotation was turning out to be a big downside this year, in my opinion, because a lot of programs want to see you as an all-rounder candidate. They want to see not someone, even though fundamentally residency is training. They're training you to be a physician, but a lot of them have a baseline expectation that जो बंदा है बंदी हम ले रहे हैं, they should be ready to plug in. When we plug them in our program, they should move smoothly without any ups and downs, right? And one way you can tell that is when you have someone who has worked in an outpatient setup, because data shows that at least in Texas, there is one primary care provider for every 825 patients. So this tells you that PCPs की US में बहुत कमी है. American medical graduates go for other fields that are much more advanced. And on top of that, the patient population currently with the inflation that's going on, with the economical status जो के country का चल रहा है, they are not financially strong, which means Medicare insurance plans are predominantly taking over other private insurances because people cannot afford. And to be able to provide care to those Medicare insurance plans, universities cannot do that. Community programs do, smaller programs do, rural programs do, you know. So पहली चीज तो मैं बोलूंगा कि यार प्लीज प्लीज इन चीजों में ना पढ़ो कि मुझे हॉस्पिटल रोटेशन चाहिए, मुझे इतनी बड़े नाम की रोटेशन चाहिए. आउट पेशेंट रोटेशन मिल रही है, प्लीज ले लो, कर लो, बिकॉज नो रोटेशन इज स्मॉल, नो एक्सपीरियंस गोज इन वेन. जो भी तुम करोगे एटलीस्ट तुम इस तरह करो कि यू कैन टॉक अबाउट इन इंटरव्यूज. सही है, दैट्स द फर्स्ट स्टेप. Second thing that I saw is that a lot of people with very extravagant scores went unmatched. ठीक है, even मेरे बहुत करीबी दोस्त जिनके scores were in the 98 99 percentile went unmatched, even they had 6 7 8 interviews. सही है. तो what I will say is कि whatever experience you are doing अभी से, भले if you're working in an NGO, if you're doing a Ramzan ration drive, you're doing anything, सही है, अपने सेल फोन पर ही एक नोट बना लो और उस नोट पे ना लिखते रहो कि तुम क्या क्या चीजें कर रहे हो एबीसी. क्योंकि यार जब तुम लोग सीवी पे काम कर रहे होगे ना, उस वक्त तुम लोगों को याद ही नहीं आएगा तुम लोगों ने जिंदगी में क्या किया है. अनफॉर्चुनेटली दिस इज अ हार्श रियलिटी. हमारा मेडिकल स्कूल हमें ये तो सिखा देता है कि यू नो इस फ्यूचर को यहाँ से काटना है और यहाँ से लगाना है, बट नोबडी टीचेस यू इन 12 साल की एजुकेशन के हाउ टू सेल योरसेल्फ. सॉफ्ट सेल हार्ड सेल का कोई कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं होता एजुकेशन में, राइट? तो उस वक्त ना यू रनिंग अराउंड, यू ट्राइंग टू थिंक यार हैव आई इवन डन एनीथिंग मीनिंगफुल इन लाइफ, एंड यू कांट थिंक ऑफ एनीथिंग बिकॉज everybody around you either treats you के हाँ ये तो तुमने किया, सबने किया होगा. No, it's important, you know. You should always validate yourself. You should always tell yourself कि आपने कुछ अच्छा किया है, because पड़ोसी आके बताने वाला नहीं है unfortunately. तो एक नोट बना लो और उसमें चीजें डालते रहो कि यार ये किया ये किया ये किया, ताकि you have that knowledge bank. Inshallah 4 months from now when you do a rotation or when you are doing your experience countdown, you will have a very good pool to, you know, pull in information from. And my third tip would be कि instead of prioritizing rotations, मतलब setting wise जैसे outpatient inpatient, build a theme. सही है. I built a team इस तरीके से कि majority of my rotations were rural and suburban setting. क्योंकि ज्यादातर आईएमजी वाले जो प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं वो यहीं से ही आते हैं. वो या तो रूरल के होते हैं या सबर्बन के होते हैं या दोनों का मिक्सचर होता है, राइट? तो एक जब आपको ज्यादातर आपको पता ही है कि आपके ज्यादातर प्रोग्राम्स कम्युनिटी वाले होंगे, राइट? तो यू शुड बी बॉन्डिंग विद देम, राइट? एंड द वे यू बॉन्ड विद देम इज हैविंग लाइकवाइज एक्सपीरियंसेस एंड यू नो लाइकवाइज रोटेशंस. तो instead of fragmenting rotations, inpatient, outpatient, fragment them according to healthcare setting. Do get a few rural experiences, get a few suburban experiences, get a few urban experiences. ताकि when you're sitting in an interview, you can say that आपने सिर्फ rotation नहीं किया, you had a very nice thought process behind it, and you actually cared about the population, which is why you took that experience for yourself, right? So it has a very nice, then it adds a very nice evidence to your journey. So yeah. बाकी उसके अलावा if you are someone who is aiming to do a lot of rotations, 5 6 7 10 12 जो भी है, तो build a theme. You can term one rotation as an administrative rotation. अगर उस rotation में आप ज्यादा EMR का काम कर रहे हो, ज्यादा आप scheduling कर रहे हो, front office का काम कर रहे हो, hospital staff, nursing staff को assist कर रहे हो, EMS को coordinate कर रहे हो, तो उसका थीम अपनी सीवी में एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव पे डाल दो। अगर कोई इन पेशेंट रोटेशन की है तो मोस्ट लाइकली वो मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच में अप्लाई, क्योंकि इन पेशेंट में आप कंसल्ट देखते हो, आप डिफरेंट टीम्स के साथ कोऑर्डिनेट करते हो, डिफरेंट इंटरनल मेडिसिन के सब स्पेशलिटीज के साथ भी कोऑर्डिनेट करते हो, तो इट एड्स अ नाइस मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच जो अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमें पाकिस्तान में इतनी अवेलेबल नहीं होती, तो इट एड्स अ वेरी नाइस टच। फिर उसके अलावा अगर आपकी सबसे पहली कोई रोटेशन है जो कि आपने किसी कोने में किसी आउट पेशेंट में की थी, तो वंस अगेन लाइक आई सेड, नो रोटेशन इज अ वेस्ट, राइट? So you can term it as an entry point. कि I used this rotation to get introduced to the US healthcare system. तो पढ़ने वाले को एहसास होगा कि यार ये सिर्फ फ्री फायर नहीं कर रहा, इसने एक्चुअली स्ट्रगल किया यहाँ तक पहुंचने के लिए. He started off small and alhamdulillah अब they have had a blend of different experiences. सही है ना? तो if you plan on putting multiple US clinical experiences in your experience section in the CV, plan it and theme it accordingly so that you don't have a monotonous theme. Like Saad said, ऐसा नहीं होगा कि हर किसी में आप patient interviewing और history taking डाल रहे हो, because that just feels nonsense. ठीक है. And one last tip that I would like to tell is कि ऐसा मत सोचना कि mock interviews will magically change you overnight. Mock interviews can't change you, or can't change the way you speak, or can't change the way you think, which you have been thinking since the day you were born. Say it. However, mock interviews can only evaluate you and give you what are the do's and don'ts. Say it. तो इंटरव्यू किस तरीके से लेना है इस पे कम सोचो, और सिर्फ इतना सोचो कि अगर मैं तुमसे पूछूं शीशे के सामने खड़े होके कि तुमने रोटेशन की है, तो मुझे रोटेशन के बारे में जल्दी से बताओ 5 मिनट में. यू शुड बी एबल टू इम्प्रेस मी इतना कि मैं बोलूंगा यार इसने सिर्फ रोटेशन नहीं की है, मैं तो कहता हूँ इसने तो वहां पूरी जिंदगी गुजार के आया है, इसको इतना ज्यादा पता है. ठीक है. एंड ऑब्वियसली इट शुड नॉट बी यू बीइंग प्रिटेंशियस. जाहिर है थोड़ी बहुत, मैं झूठ नहीं बोलूंगा, आई थिंक अब्बास और सबा आप लोग भी इस बात पे एग्री करेंगे, इंटरव्यू में थोड़ा बहुत हर कोई प्रिटेंशियस होता है, करना पड़ता है, डिप्लोमेसी होती है, लाजमी है, झूठ नहीं बोलूंगा मैं. लेकिन एटलीस्ट जो आपकी नेचुरल साइड है वो इवेपोरेट नहीं करना. Do retain that, because that natural side is what builds that personality, and people want to get you in for your personality, not for your score. क्योंकि स्कोर देख के तो इंटरव्यू दे दिया, अब वहां से स्कोर का कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है. अब everything depends on your interview performance. ठीक है. तो बस these were basically the tips from my side. Zainab, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Just gonna see if there's anything else. So personal statement. I know, again, a very vast topic, but in just like 1 or 2 minutes, if there's anything that you think is really important for students of Dow to know about, any tips, please let us know.
I'll leave that for Abbas and Sabah, क्योंकि फिर like सब चीज के बारे में बात कर लेंगे तो थोड़ा weird हो जाएगा.
Okay,
तो
no problem.
I think that's something that Abbas and Sabah can focus on. अच्छा रहेगा.
So we will move on to Dr. Abbas now. Just 1 second. Thank you so much, Dr. Hayat.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
All right. Dr. Abbas, are you there?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome, Dr. Abbas. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty. So, how did you decide to pursue medicine?
So when you asked Saad this question, तभी मुझे थोड़ा सा टाइम मिल गया था सोचने का बेसिकली. कोई एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी रीजन नहीं था, but I had two sisters who were doctors, who were graduates of Dow Medical College. So I guess बहुत ही स्टार्ट से जो है ना फैमिली में एक इन्फ्लुएंस था जिसने पुश किया इस तरफ.
Okay, perfect. All right, so what were some personal challenges that you faced throughout medical school and throughout the residency match cycle that you would like to discuss?
Okay, so basically I got into this journey a little late. I guess I started preparing for my step 1 exam during final year of medical school. उस टाइम तक मैं बहुत ही अनश्योर था कि जो है ना यूएसएमएलई देना भी है कि नहीं देना. रीज़न यही था कि अफोर्ड कर पाऊंगा मैं कि नहीं होगा, बहुत कॉम्पिटिटिव होता है, और कोई फैमिली से कोई यूएस गया भी नहीं था इस तरह से, और कोई डॉक्टर भी नहीं था वहाँ पे जिसको मैं जानता हूँ।
हम्म,
सो बहुत ही लेट स्टार्ट हुआ, और फाइनल ईयर में फाइनली डिसाइड कर लिया कि हाँ देना है स्टेप वन।
हम्म,
सो उस दौरान में जो है वो फैमिली ने काफ़ी ज़्यादा पुश किया, और उन फैमिली की ही सपोर्ट थी जिसकी वजह से जो है वो डिसाइड किया कि नहीं, एटलीस्ट वन वन स्टेप एट अ टाइम के साथ चलेंगे। और उसके बाद मैंने स्टेप वन दिया। ऑल्सो आई स्टडीड ऑन स्कॉलरशिप थ्रू आउट दी होल 5 years ऑफ मेडिकल स्कूल। तो
हम्म।
वो चीज़ मैंने अपनी इरास एप्लीकेशन में ऑनर्स एंड स्कॉलरशिप के पार्ट में भी मेंशन की थी।
Okay.
सो आई वाज आस्क्ड अबाउट दैट इन ऑल ऑफ माय इंटरव्यूज।
Oh,
तो
okay.
जो ये चीज़ें होती हैं, आई गेस ये भी थोड़ी सी मैटर करती हैं व्हेन यू आर अप्लाइंग फॉर द मैच।
All right. Makes sense. Thank you. All right. So what is your take on observerships and electives? What are some challenges that you faced for it, and what are some tips for the students of Dow?
सो और साद और उमर ने तो वीएसएलओ के बारे में बात की है। वीएसएलओ का मुझे कोई ज़्यादा आइडिया नहीं था उस टाइम तक।
Mhm,
ग्रेजुएट हुआ हूँ मैं, देन उसके बाद जो है वीज़ा के लिए अप्लाई किया, एंड देन रोटेशंस के ढूंढने का पूरा जो है वो प्रोसेस स्टार्ट हुआ। आई गॉट वन आउट पेशेंट रोटेशन इन एंडोक्राइन
mhm,
विच आई डिड इन न्यू जर्सी,
mhm,
और साथ में एक इन पेशेंट रोटेशन थी इन जॉर्जिया दैट आई डिड फर्स्ट इन जुलाई।
mhm.
और लास्टली देयर वाज एन आउट पेशेंट रोटेशन इन इंटरनल मेडिसिन अंडर प्राइमरी केयर फिजिशियन, जो कि मैंने वर्जीनिया में की थी एंड में। So I
Okay.
did not have any family medicine specific rotation,
Mhm,
but I had a mix of rotations and mix of experiences. I guess that led me to get interviews from family medicine doctors. Also, for those जिनके पास कोई family medicine की rotation नहीं है, I guess outpatient rotations in internal medicine can help you get interviews in family medicine too. तो अगर कोई फैमिली मेडिसिन की रोटेशन आपको नहीं मिल पा रही, ऑल्सो मैं रिकमेंड हर किसी को ये करूँगा कि फैमिली मेडिसिन के अंदर रोटेशन होनी चाहिए।
mhm,
फैमिली मेडिसिन स्पेसिफिक रोटेशंस जो है वो दैट शो द प्रोग्राम्स के आपके पास आपका जो एप्लीकेंट है वो is dedicated to the field and wants to pursue family medicine not as a backup specialty.
mhm.
बट अगर आपके पास कोई भी ऑप्शन नहीं है तो देन यू कैन गो ahead with the outpatient internal medicine rotations as well.
Okay. And quite a few people say that private clinic opportunities are not that good or not favorable. What is your stance on that?
आई थिंक प्राइवेट क्लिनिक, क्योंकि आपका ऑलरेडी यूएस क्लिनिकल एक्सपीरियंस का जो मतलब होता है वो यू हैव टू बेसिकली ब्रिज द गैप बिटवीन द डिफरेंट हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम्स आपके होम कंट्री में होते हैं और जो यूएस में होता है, एंड यू हैव टू अडेप्ट टू द सिस्टम ऑफ द यूएस। तो मेन
Mhm,
मकसद तो उसका यही होता है। सो फॉर दैट यू हैव टू वर्क इन हॉस्पिटल्स, यू हैव टू वर्क इन क्लिनिक्स। तो आपको एक मिक्स ऑफ एक्सपीरियंसेस चाहिए होते हैं, तो क्लिनिक के एक्सपीरियंस जो है वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा मैटर करते हैं।
mhm.
और if you don't have anything inpatient, you can always choose for the outpatient clinics and make sure that you write them well in your CV and ERAS application.
Okay. Thank you for that. So next is about the visa process. Would you mind sharing your visa process journey?
तो क्योंकि मैंने बहुत ही लेट स्टार्ट किया अपने यूएस फैमिली जर्नी का, तो मैंने स्टेप 2 का जो मेरा इरादा था वो आई प्लान टू गिव स्टेप 2 एट द एंड ऑफ 2024, बट
Mhm,
my visa got approved in March 2024, so I decided that I will apply for the match cycle, the one that I got matched into.
mhm,
So I just rushed my step 2 exam. I had given my step 1 exam before the start of my house job, gave
mhm,
step 2 exam at the end of my house job,
mhm,
appeared in my visa interview during house job,
mhm.
and luckily it got approved uh, बहुत ही स्मूथ प्रोसेस रहा। आई गेस जो मेन आपको इंटरव्यू में चीज़ें पूछी जाती हैं वो तो सिमिलर होती हैं हर किसी से, कि वेयर आर यू गोइंग, who will be sponsoring your trip, और कहाँ पर है, क्या कर रहे हैं, क्या करेंगे. Sometimes they ask for the some documents. Also एक चीज़ और मैं मेंशन करूँगा कि अनलाइक अदर पीपल, मेरा जो मेन स्पॉन्सर था वो मेरे कोई पेरेंट्स में से नहीं था, ना मेरी इमीडिएट फैमिली में से था. इट वाज माय अंकल इन द यूएस.
Okay.
तो विद
Hello? Dr. Abbas, are you there? Dr. Abbas, can you hear us? I think there's some internet issue. We'll just wait 1 minute. Okay, well, I believe he lost connection.
सॉरी फॉर द इंटरप्शन.
No problem. Okay, can you hear us?
ओके, सो वीज़ा का प्रोसेस मैं बता रहा था, थोड़ा सा अनयूजुअल था, बट इट गॉट अप्रूव्ड. एंड आई गेस द मेन रीज़न इज़ यू जस्ट हैव टू बी ऑनेस्ट विद एवरीथिंग. जो आपसे पूछा जा रहा हो, जस्ट आंसर देम अकॉर्डिंगली, एज ऑनेस्टली एज यू कैन. और इट गॉट अप्रूव्ड फॉर एनी डिसीजन बनाए कि आई हैव टू गिव स्टेप टू एग्जाम and apply for the same math cycle. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Alrighty. So house job in your home country, you did discuss that you did house job in Pakistan. So what is your advice on that? Should the students of Dow pursue house job, or is it a disadvantage?
So for an ideal applicant, the step one exam has to be given in step third year of medical school, and you have to be done with both of your exams during your medical school. तो अगर इतना आपने काम कर लिया है, then you should have to go to the US for clinical experience and apply for the math cycle. तो इस ideal timeline के अंदर तो आपको टाइम नहीं मिलता to do house job. But for most of the applicants, that is not very practical. So I definitely recommend doing house job, but it is not really necessary requirement for the match. So house job say at least you have something as a backup to practice in your home country. I did not take any breaks during whole of my house job. I gave my step 2 exam at the end of my house job, and साथ में मैंने step 2 का exam जो है वो भी clear किया. Or then I just went to the US and did rotations after the completion of my house job.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so just a couple minutes about your residency journey in general, basically. So you said you started a little late in the process. How did that affect your journey, and what are your tips on someone that might also apply a little late or make their decision late in the time frame?
I guess everyone does pursue their journey at their own pace. तो हर किसी का अपना pace होता है, or some start late. And I feel like family medicine is one of the specialties that is very forgiving in terms of lower scores and as well as higher year of graduations. So that was the main theme behind me applying to the family medicine, as well as the flexibility that we can have after residency in terms of like how much involved we want to be and get compensated accordingly. तो एक बहुत ही अच्छा वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस होता है बाद में, तो यही बेसिकली मेरा रीज़न था टू परस्यू फैमिली मेडिसिन. और अगर किसी का ईयर ऑफ ग्रेजुएशन ज़्यादा है तो आई गेस फैमिली मेडिसिन के प्रोग्राम्स के अंदर एप्लीकेंट्स होते हैं, मौजूद होते हैं, जिनका जो कि हायर ईयर ऑफ ग्रेजुएशन के साथ वहाँ पे अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. साथ में if someone is getting into the USMLE journey late, I would say take your time, but and जल्द से जल्द होने की कोशिश तो होनी चाहिए, but obviously do not rush it at the expense of your score.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because it can filter you out of the most programs. अगर किसी प्रोग्राम का फिल्टर है तो आप वहां से फिल्टर आउट हो जाएंगे obviously.
Right. Okay, thank you for that. All right, so I believe, just one second, let me see. Okay, so just 1 minute on tips for the ERAS application, please.
Okay, so ERAS application के different parts होते हैं. There's personal statement. There are 10 experiences that we have to write. 3 of them have to be the most meaningful ones, which we write at the start, and then 7 experiences afterwards. These are all experiences that can be clinical, that can be teaching experiences, that can be voluntary, and it is always good to have a mix of all. मेरे कुछ क्लिनिकल एक्सपीरियंस थे जो कि मैंने रोटेशन वहाँ पे की थी. देन आई डिड सम वॉलंटियर वर्क इन द यूएस, उसको भी मैंने मेंशन किया. और ऑल्सो the family medicine residency programs are very focused on community outreach and promoting health equity and that sort of stuff. तो उसके लिए आप को जब भी टाइम मिले यूएस में, while you are in the US, you should actively seek out homeless shelters or old age homes, और जो जहाँ पे भी आपको मौका मिल रहा हो related to medicine, आप वहाँ पर वॉलंटियर कर सकते हैं जाकर. एंड दे रियली अकोमोडेट यू. आप वहाँ पर अपने नियर बाई एरियाज के अंदर गूगल पे सर्च करें, कुछ इस तरह का मौजूद है, उनको कॉल करें, वहाँ पर्सनली जाकर जो है वो ऑफर करें कि आप वॉलंटियर करना चाह रहे हैं, और दे रियली टेक यू इन. और वो एक्सपीरियंस जो है वो आपका बहुत ज़्यादा हेल्प करता है. सो आई वॉज डूइंग फ्री हेल्थ केयर क्लिनिक्स ऑन द वीकेंड्स अलॉन्ग विद माई एप्लीकेशन. तो वो चीज़ जो है वो मैंने इरास में लिखी थी, और उसका मेरे पास कोई एलओआर नहीं था, बट आई रोट दैट एक्सपीरियंस इन माई इरास एप्लीकेशन. आई वाज आस्क्ड अबाउट दैट ड्यूरिंग माई इंटरव्यूज. तो ये चीज़ एक आप साथ में ऐड ऑन कर सकते हैं एप्लीकेशन में. साथ में आई हैड अ गुड अमाउंट ऑफ टीचिंग एक्सपीरियंस, वो मैंने मेंशन किया था. उसके बारे में ऑलमोस्ट ऑल ऑफ द प्रोग्राम्स आस्क्ड मी. अदर देन दैट कोई भी वॉलंटियर एक्सपीरियंस आपका है वो मेंशन करें, टीचिंग एक्सपीरियंस है वो मेंशन करें, क्लिनिकल एक्सपीरियंस. सो इट इज़ ऑलवेज गुड टू हैव अ मिक्स ऑफ एवरीथिंग.
Okay, thank you very much for that. All right. So thank you, Dr. Abbas, for your insightful advice on the family medicine, basically everything about the residency. So now we'd like to ask Dr. Sabah Zahir to take the stage. Dr. Zahir, are you there?
Hey everybody, yes, I'm here, Sanav.
All right. How are you doing today, Dr. Zahir?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem. Okay, so how did you decide to pursue medicine?
So this is a very broad question. I mean, there is no simple answer to it, but I would summarize it in a way that I come from a family of doctors. My dad, my uncles, a lot of people in my family are physicians. So I'd say I was influenced by them to come into medicine. I was not really happy when I came into medicine, but with time, I realized that, I enjoy it.
All right, perfect. Just 1 second. Okay. So what are some personal challenges that you faced throughout medical school and throughout the residency journey that you would like to share?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very long, tiring journey full of challenges. But honestly, before I tell my challenges, I want to say that once you match you kind of forget about all the hardships and all the bad times that you went through because it definitely feels worth it and it feels really good. So even if you're facing challenges, just know that once you match, it's all going to go away. But I'd say the most challenging time for me in my US MD journey was the step one preparation. I think for me, reason was I was the only one among my friend group who was giving USMLE, so it was kind of isolating and just managing rotations and med school with it was hard. Um, it wasn't hard, but I think it was new and different. But the good thing that I've noticed is that most students now are planning and preparing for steps during third year, fourth year, and there's a lot of support and information available, which I believe really helps. But once I was done with step one, I think it gave me a lot of confidence. And from that point onward, everything seemed more manageable. I think taking the first step towards anything big is hard, but if you just do that, then everything kind of falls into place. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Could you just repeat a couple minutes about what you were talking about?
Yeah, I was just saying that, for me, I think the biggest challenge was step one preparation because it was just getting started. One was a challenging time for me because I was just so scared of that exam. And it's okay for anybody taking that exam. It's okay to be scared because it's a big exam. But once you're done with that, you kind of realize that, it was nothing. But so I was really focused on step one and I had a tunnel vision. I did not even think about other things that are important and needed. For example, the visa process. I had an elective, but I didn't think about visa because like I will do it after my step one exam. But by that time, it was too late and I didn't know there was 1 year waiting times for visa. So I missed that elective, but that later converted into an observership. But because of the timeline and everything, I did not have enough information. So my advice is just, even if you're studying for exams, just stay on top of everything, know the timelines, know how long it takes for the visa and apply as early as you can. And then about the visa interview, I would say it's just, it's very simple. I would say it's luck. A lot of it is based on luck. Some people are rejected for their visas, but again, that's also okay because you can apply again. I know it feels like a huge setback, but don't stop.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. All right, so what is your stance on completing a house job in your home country?
Yeah, so I would say do it as much as you can. If you absolutely need a backup option, try to complete it. But if you have enough US clinical experiences, then I don't think house job is that important. Personally, for me, it did not make a difference because I did not put house job in my experiences. I prioritize putting US experiences over home country experiences because you can only put 10. So for me, how it worked was I gave my step one and final year, and then I started my house job and I was studying for step two during my house job, but then I took some time off from house job for my dedicated. And then after that, I joined my house job back. So I did not complete it. I did not do it in a go. And then before the house job even ended, I came to US for observership. So I prioritized the observerships over house job. And it worked out fine for me if somebody wants to have a backup option if they don't match. Because honestly, luckily I match. I don't know what I would do if I didn't match because I didn't have house job. So if you need a backup option, try to complete it. But I'd say house job did help me during my interviews, not as much in my CV, because in interviews they ask a lot of behavioral questions, like, tell me about a difficult patient, tell me about a difficult colleague or things like that. So to answer those questions, house job experiences really helped me. But even if you don't have house job, you can like talk about your experiences from med school as well.
All right, perfect. Thank you for that. All right, so just a couple minutes on your residency journey. So when did you start the residency journey? What are some specific obstacles that you faced?
Yeah, so I think I talked about my challenges. I decided to pursue residency in US because I have always been really passionate about family medicine, and I knew very early on that I wanted to do specialize in family medicine. So when I gathered some information, I realized that unfortunately in Pakistan we don't have many structured or well-established residency opportunities. There are some, but I feel like primary care is still a growing niche in Pakistan. So among the options available abroad, USMD pathway made most sense for me because it's faster, more structured once you successfully match. And before even starting on the USMD journey, I looked at FM curriculums at some of the programs in the US to really understand what it is and if I really want to do it. Don't just jump onto this journey because everybody is doing it, because it's exhausting, it's financially exhausting, physically and emotionally exhausting. So before you commit to it, know that this is what you want to do. And of course, like, once you're done with residency in US, I feel like you have more options. So it was pretty easy to hop onto this pathway. But again, it was filled with challenges, but nothing that was impossible.
Got it. Thank you for that. All right. So, can you just briefly describe the family medicine application? So, once you go through ERAS, you're going through the entire application process. What are some things that you could put in your CV or in your application that would make it more family medicine oriented? We know about the USCs, we know about observerships and volunteering. Is there anything else that an applicant can do to make their application more family medicine oriented?
Yeah, I really like that question. For me, family medicine was the priority. I applied only in family medicine. So I focused my entire application to it. For me, it was important that anybody who reads my application understands and feels that this applicant is truly an FM applicant. So if you're somebody who prioritize FM, do not be shy to express that in your experiences. It is important to have variety in your experiences, but there should be coherence, there should be a theme, as Omar mentioned before. So I had 3 FM observerships, 2 psych and 1 neuro. But even the psych and neuro observerships, I put them in a way that showed my passion towards family medicine. So it's just the way how you describe your experiences. I think all 10 of my experiences have one line or few words that talked about family medicine, even though there were different experiences, but just building a theme in your application really helps. For example, in my psych rotations, I talked about, I learned about psychosocial factors that affect a patient, like housing, social support, and things like that. And then I just added a line that this realization really helped me understand more how important it is as a family physician to not just focus on the physical ailments of my patients, but also the psychosocial factors. So it's just how you put things. Another thing is AFP conference. I don't know if most of you guys know about it, but if you are an FM applicant and if you can afford, please do attend the national conference by American Association of Family Physician. It happens every year in late July or early August in Kansas City. If you're here for your observership, it's just a 3-day thing. If you can sign up for that and go there, that is, I think, a great way to network with FM programs because it's like it's a 3-day thing. They have multiple sessions and they also have like an expo in which all the programs that are in the ERAS residency match process, they have their like booths, and the program director, program coordinator, faculty, residents, they're all there. So it's a great way to meet them in person, build connection, and the conference gives you a badge which has all your information and all the programs that you visit. They kind of scan you and they have it in their record that this applicant visited us in the conference. And then they even send you emails for virtual meet and greets and stuff like that. So you might be able to get those things online, but getting a personal email really helps you because there's a lot going on in August, September, and it's hard to keep up. For example, I visited a program and they had a virtual meet and greet. They emailed me, I joined. They had virtual and in-person meet and greet, and I was in US, so I opted for the in-person meet and greet. I went there So I met them in the conference, I met them at the meet and greet, and I signaled them, and I was able to get an interview from them. So people talk about networking, building connections, but it's hard to do that. But for FM, National Conference is a great way to do that. And not just networking, they have a lot of sessions by leaders in FM, and they tell you about what they're looking for in an applicant, how to build your CV, how to build your personal statement specific to FM. So I think that is something that really helped me.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. All right. So if there's just a few pointers that you could talk about the personal statement, that would be great.
Yeah, I think personal statement, the goal of the personal statement is to leave the reader wanting more. They would want to meet you in person, and want to invite you for an interview. It should be like a mini autobiography. It should be personal, anything generic, anything that you write, you feel like somebody else could have written it. I would say skip that and write something that is brings your personality, allows the reader to get your vibe uh, from the personal statement. And I think of it as the CV is what you have done, and the personal statement is who you are. So I think just talk about, I think the intro part is really important. It should be really catchy. It should want the reader to read the rest of it. And then just talk briefly about why you're choosing that specialty. I think a lot of people have this misconception that in the personal statement, you just have to talk about FM and the specialty. I don't think that's the case, because if a FMPD is reading the personal statement, they know that you want to do FM. You don't have to prove them through your personal statement that you're passionate about it. But just talk about it briefly. Talk more about yourself, your accomplishments, your personality. Accomplishments, you can add like any compliments you receive from your patients, your preceptors, things like that, things that are personal to you. And then also talk about who you are as a person, your hobbies, your family, your life in general. I think that would be the gist of it. I mean, this is a very broad topic. I could talk about it for 10 minutes, but I don't think we have that much time. But yeah, I think, yeah.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So networking and interview preparation. So you talked about the National Conference for Family Medicine, and that's a really good way to network. If there's no way for an applicant to go to that national conference, what is another way that an applicant can network?
This is a hard question because I don't have any experience in that, but I would say a lot of people I think emailing is one thing, cold emailing, just like getting in touch with them, the program director, program coordinators. I think program coordinators are the one who are most responsive on the email, and people usually tend to email the doctors, but I think program coordinators are the ones you want to get in touch with. And if you're interested in a specific program, just email the program director in July, August time, because that's when they're free, because after September they're busy because the applications are gone to them. August was a great time. Just reach out to program coordinators, tell them that you're going to apply to their program, you're going to signal them, and if there's any virtual meet and greet opportunity, because most programs have virtual meet and greets now. So even if you're in Pakistan, if you're not in US, you're able to attend those virtual meet and greets. And they usually post about them on their Instagram pages. But if you have, like, I would say, have a goal-directed approach and match, even though as IMGs we apply broadly and we don't have most people don't have specific preferences. But even then, just have like an area or a state or a geographical preference and just research more on those programs, email program coordinators, ask them if they have virtual meet and greets, and if you can just show interest basically, and build like an email thread. So if you email a program coordinator in July, August, that you're interested and you want to apply, you want to signal their program. And then later, once you apply and you signal them, you can write a follow-up email and you there will already be a thread of email communication with the program, I would say.
Okay, perfect. And your 2 cents on interview preparation. What are your thoughts on conducting mock interviews? Do you think they have any benefit or?
Yeah, so mock interviews are a huge thing, but personally, I did not do many mock interviews. I just had one person who I prepared with for my interviews because for me, I believe that getting too many opinions also confuses you. So whenever like I started my interview preparation, I mean, interview preparation should start right now, basically. It's every interaction that you have with other professionals is kind of your preparation for those interviews. But formally, I would say once you're done with the application, everything, you try to think about, oh, what am I going to say about myself? Because the hot question is, tell me about yourself. And I think there's a lot of opinions on that too, but it's just like very subjective to everybody. And I would say have one person or two-person who you're doing mock interviews with. Don't do it with a lot of people because a lot of opinions and criticism can confuse you. The best way for me was to practice in front of a mirror or on Zoom because the interviews are on Zoom. So I would mostly like sit with my computer, open the Zoom like a meeting for myself and just talk to myself. That I think was the best way for me to prepare for my interviews. Other thing is do have pointers. Like it should not be a rehearsed speech, but definitely do have like pointers that you want to say. And they should not be under any specific heading. They should just be like things in your mind that you want to convey in your interview in any question that they ask because you don't know what they're going to ask. You should just have like a mind map that this is something that I want to tell about myself and just find an opportunity during that interview to express those feelings and thoughts to them.
Okay, perfect. All right, so do you have any tips for the ERAS application for the students of Dow?
Yeah, so, I mean, I talked about my ERAS application. I focused it on FM. A few things I want to add is do not leave out any part of your application. I mean, there are things in your application that are optional. For example, there's a part about impactful experiences. It's like a paragraph that you have to write and it's optional. You don't have to write it. And initially when I saw the application, I was like, I mean, it's optional. I don't want to write it. But I realized like, why would I not? Because it's an opportunity for me to tell more about myself. And that's what I'm trying to do. So don't leave anything that is optional blank in the CV. Just fill out everything. For example, there is a part about honors and awards. And a lot of people, because here US medical schools have honors, like special honors. And then there's an option on ERAS that, no honors and award in my medical school. So all of us pick that because we don't have that. But anything above, I think 3 GPA or 3.5, I can't remember, is honors here. So I think most people know that.
Also, 9 and 10 in your MSP, in your board experiences can count towards academic excellence as well.
Yeah,
So I
as
mentioned.
Ahmad mentioned about his scholarship. And so for me, I didn't have scholarship, but I was like, what would I put in my honors? But then I realized and I learned that all the A grades that I got during my prof exams are honors. So I just put everything there. I put like my first was academic excellence CGPA. It was above 3.5, so I put that. And then I put all like final year medicine, gynae surgery. I even put like the clerkships that we have, like anything above 9, I think is honors. So I put those two. So just go through your MSPE, go through your transcripts, and anything A plus is honors and put that over there. So just do not leave anything blank. Have something everywhere, impactful experiences. And then another thing is that in ERAS, when you guys go through that, it's very neat. There's like a lot of selections, and in all the experiences you can specify what type of experience it was and what was the main theme of that experience. And there are a lot of options. So try to make all those 10 experiences different, when you pick those selections. So you can pick empathy and compassion, you can pick innovation. So for example, I mean, everybody would just pick empathy and compassion in their observerships, but no, you should not do that. For example, in my neurology rotation was a completely private outpatient rotation, but they had a lot of like new things going on, like I don't know, I don't even remember. It was like Botox for migraine, and then TMS, things like that. There were a lot of like machines over there. So I just highlighted that in my experience for that observership, that I learned innovation, how innovation is important in medicine. So just have a lot of variety, and it's a very in-depth topic, and we can maybe schedule another meeting to discuss those things.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
All right.
also there are questions for roles and responsibility, and what did you learn from those experiences? You have to choose from the options given, and you have to write that or choose that for every experience that you write. I guess
Okay.
that is important too.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Abbas. So for both of you, my last question is, was lifestyle a factor in choosing your specialty choice? So Dr. Zahir, you can answer first.
I'm so sorry. Can you please repeat the question? I was seeing the
Yeah.
message.
No, absolutely. Was lifestyle a factor in choosing your specialty choice?
The honest answer is yes. But now that I'm going to start family medicine residency, I realize it's not very easy. I mean, for family medicine, I would say that once you are an attending, you can choose how much you want to work, how less you want to work. That for me, I think starting off when I picked family medicine as my choice was one of the reason. But with time, as I'm, getting more involved in it, I don't feel like that's the case now. I really want to like do everything that I can until I can. But when I was deciding for this specialty, I think that was one of the reason I had this notion that, family medicine has better lifestyle. But I don't think that's 100% true, because there's a lot of work, there's a lot of paperwork involved once you're somebody's primary care physician. So it's not that easy as it's always seen. People kind of like undermine family medicine. It's like a thing, but I mean, it's as good as any other specialty and as hard as any other specialty.
Makes sense. Dr. Abbas, would you like to take a stab at it?
Yeah, so just like I talked about it, it is very flexible in terms of the lifestyle that we want after the residency, because residency is tough everywhere in the world. चाहे वो IM हो, FM हो या कोई भी surgical specialty हो, the residency is tough. After residency, you can really tailor your career according to the interests that you have and the lifestyle that you want. Whether you want to work full time in a clinic or do urgent care, be a hospitalist, do telemedicine, or even take on administrative or academic role, you have have too many options. So it is very physician centric in that way, and you can choose how much involved you want to be, and you get compensated according to that. So you have a control over your career and like work-life balance. If you are big on that, you can get that.
All right. One more question that I'd like both of you to answer. So for internal medicine and for peds, there is a way to do like fellowships or subspecialty, basically anything that you want to do, like in infectious disease or pulmonology. There is that sort of avenue for that. But do family medicine physicians have that avenue?
I can take that question if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so when I got into, I mean, I would recommend everybody who's applying for FM to do more research on it, but there's so much to a family medicine that I did not know in the beginning when I started. There are so many fellowship opportunities, like I think there are over 50 of them. I can't even list them all here. And some of them includes like, so after FM, residency, you can do an fellowship in emergency medicine, and then you can be an EM doc. You can do OB. OB and is a very big is really like a I don't know how to put it, but a lot of family medicine residents like go into OB. So there's like a 1-year OB fellowship after family medicine. The program that I mashed into also have that. So like I'm so grateful because that is something that I was interested during med school, but I just knew that it's so hard to match into OB in US. So, I mean, that was something that I wanted to do, but FM really gives you an opportunity. So if somebody really wants to get some taste of OB, then they can definitely do that with FM. And then there is a sports medicine fellowship, there is a sleep medicine fellowship, there is addiction medicine fellowship. So there are a lot of options, geriatric medicine. I think there are billions of options for to move your career forward. And as Abbas said, family medicine is like a mix of everything. You can do whatever you want to do.
Okay, perfect. Dr. Abbas, would you like to say anything to that question?
I guess Sabak covered pretty much everything. There are a lot of options, or I guess जब तक फैमिली मेडिसिन के बारे में पढ़ना शुरू नहीं करते पता नहीं चलता कि आप
Right.
ये भी कर सकते हैं वो भी कर सकते हैं.
Absolutely.
Another thing I would like to add, I met a few people who wanted to do sports medicine, and that is the reason they were doing FM. And they put that into their personal statement. I would not recommend that because fellowship is the next step. There is a separate application process, MASH process for fellowship. So general advice, do not highlight your fellowship interest in your residency personal statement, because the program would think that this person only wants to do FM to be able to become a sports medicine. They want you to be present for the training that they are offering. So save that for the fellowship personal statement. Don't add that. Like maybe a line would be fine, but don't just talk about that in your personal statement or your CV that's why you're pursuing FM.
Also, you get asked about your specific areas of interest during your interviews. But जब आप apply कर रहे होते हैं, so you don't really know कि program if the program offers that specific fellowship or not. तो अगर वो program वहाँ पे offer ही नहीं करता fellowship, and you are really mentioning about it in your personal statement and your ERAS application, तो program को लगेगा ये applicant जो है शायद हम में interested ना हो. So they might not
Right.
offer you any interview.
Okay, makes sense. All right, thank you guys so much for your time. If there's anything else you want to mention to the Dallas students before we end the session, please let me know.
Somebody was asking for email address or to connect with me. I can just leave my email address in the chat box, and if anybody has, they can reach out. I can't promise when I would reply, but I would definitely reply at some point.
Yeah. Dr. Abbas, if you are also interested in giving your email to the audience, you can go ahead for that.
Yeah, definitely. I will type it in the chat box. Also, one advice that I would like to give everyone would be to have the right mentors. Having mentors can really help you a lot throughout the whole process. Having the friends who are in the same journey with you that can help. जो छोटी मोटी advices होती हैं that can make a huge difference. बिल्कुल last moment पे one of my mentors gave me advice to ask all of my preceptors to upload 2 separate LORs for every program. I asked them to write one LOR recommending me for family medicine and one for internal medicine. तो मेरे पास इस तरह से different LORs बन गए थे, और वही LORs को मैंने जो है family medicine में use किया. Also, when you are applying for the family medicine programs, make sure that your CV aligns with their requirements. अगर year of graduation में आप नहीं fit हो रहे तो वहाँ पे apply ना करें. Also, if they require US clinical experience of 6 months, so it is better to ask them कि अगर 3 महीने का clinical experience जो है वो भी काम आएगा कि नहीं. तो वो चीज़ आप उनसे पूछ सकते हैं ईमेल करके प्रोग्राम कोऑर्डिनेटर से. बट you have to apply to the programs that accept visa requiring IMGs, that accept people with your scores, कि आप वहाँ से filter ना हो जाएं. Also, with 5 signals, I guess you can get 5 interviews from those programs. मैंने बहुत ज़्यादा रिसर्च नहीं की थी प्रोग्राम्स के बारे में, जिसका मुझे थोड़ा सा रिग्रेट तो है, बट अगर आपने प्रोग्राम के बारे में रिसर्च की हो तो आई गेस यू कैन गेट 5 interviews from the 5 programs that you signal. I got 2 interviews from my signal programs, और बाकी मेरे न्यू प्रोग्राम से इंटरव्यूज थे. आई हैड अ लो स्कोर इन स्टेप 2 सीके, तो मैंने उसके अकॉर्डिंगली जो है प्रोग्राम्स को टारगेट किया था. तो आई हैड 10 इंटरव्यूज जिसमें मैंने जो है वो अपनी सीवी के अकॉर्डिंगली अप्लाई किया था. तो it's always important to apply to only those programs जहाँ पर आपको लगे कि आपको इंटरव्यू का चांस मिलेगा, और वहाँ पर पाकिस्तानी IMGs मौजूद हों, वहाँ पर आपके डाव से ग्रेजुएट्स मौजूद हों, ताकि आप क्योंकि बहुत सारे प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं जो कि मेंशन तो करते हैं कि दे ऑफर वीज़ा, बट व्हेन यू लुक एट द लिस्ट ऑफ रेजिडेंट्स, वहाँ पर आपको कोई अपने पाकिस्तान से कोई नज़र नहीं आएगा, या फिर अगर कोई आपको नज़र आएगा तो वो हो सकता है इसके पास ग्रीन कार्ड हो. तो it's always important to ask the residents, reach out to them on LinkedIn or Twitter and ask them if they have people in the program who are visa requiring.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Abbas. Are there any closing thoughts that Dr. Zahir or Dr. Abbas you want to discuss?
Another thing I would like to add to the signaling part that Abbas mentioned. So FM has 5 signals, and 5 is a small number. I wish they have more this year, but always like try. It's 5 is a small number, so you can easily work with that. You should personalize those 5 person statements for those programs. So in ERAS, you can add as many person statements as you can. If you have the time and energy, you can personalize the person statement for every program that you're applying to. But if that's not possible, you can at least personalize the signaled ones, because that's like your goal. You want to match at those 5 programs and you want to interview from them. So just writing an extra paragraph why you want them would really help. Another thing is that if you have the LORs things that Abbas mentioned, that have 2 LORs from the preceptors if you're applying to different specialty. In my case, it was a little different. I was applying for FM and I had FM LORs from FM physicians, but I was doing psych and neuro rotations too. So, and this thing I learned from AFP conference, that doctors from other specialties. So for example, my psych preceptors, their LOR for my family medicine application was extremely important and valuable, because it was a doctor from another specialty emphasizing that this applicant is really passionate about family medicine. So that was like more powerful than my FM LORs. I mean, they were really important, but just a neurologist or a psychiatrist talking about me being passionate about FM was really meaningful, because from the conference I learned, they shared all the statistics that LORs are the key component in sending out an invite for an interview to an applicant, because rest of the application you do yourself, like you write your personal statement, you write your ERA CV. LOR is something that somebody else is vouching for you, somebody else is writing for you. So don't underestimate the value of LORs from other specialty physicians if you're applying to a different specialty.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for your time. We just wanted to mention that we will be uploading this video on YouTube. Is that okay with both of you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
Alrighty. So thank you again for your time, everyone. We would like to end the session here.